Okay, we're live.
All right, so we're just waiting for Councilor Memhard. Councilor Memhard may not be with us tonight, and we're waiting for Councilor O'Hara, but we do have a quorum, so we will get the city council meeting going. Is that okay with everybody? All right. So welcome to this evening's city council meeting of May 11th, 2021. This meeting is being recorded by video and audio in accordance with the state open meeting law, consistent with the governor's order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law and banning certain gatherings, such that a person meeting in an in-person meeting of the city council, oh my God, I'm so tongue twisted, is not possible. This meeting will be conducted by remote participation. The public may not physically attend this meeting, but every effort will be made to allow the public to view and listen to this meeting in real time and participate when necessary. Additionally, all votes taken by the city council during this and future remote meetings will be held by roll call vote. So if you are calling in on a phone, you can press *9 to request to speak. If you are watching on a computer or a device, there is a raise hand button that you can tap or press to request to speak. Please use either of these during oral communications and during the public hearing to request to speak. So in attendance this evening, I'm going to ask everybody to mute themselves, please, until we get to proper time to speak. So this evening, we have in no particular order. I'm going to go from my top left to my bottom right. We have Councilor McCarthy. We have myself, Councilor LeBlanc. We have Councilor Pett, Councilor Gilman, Councilor Nolan, Councilor Holmgren, Councilor Cox, Councilor O'Hara, and Councilor Memhard is not with us this evening. Also in attendance, we have our city clerk, Joanne Sinos. We have our CFO, John Dunn. We have our, Max, I apologize, I don't know your proper title, but we have one of our health directors, Max Schenk. And we have our clerk of committees, Sherry Carvelis. And we have our assistant to the CAO, Chris Sicurezza. All right, so, and before we get started, Max, may I have your proper title, please, so I don't do this again?
Sure, can you hear me okay? Okay, it's Assistant Director.
Assistant Director. I knew that. I just wanted to I don't want to flub it. All right, great.
No worries, thank you.
No problem. Thanks, pal. I appreciate it. Madam Clerk, we have the next order of business, please.
The first order of business is oral communications.
All right, so before we start oral communications, we have 14 people as panelists, and we have 15 people as attendees. So during oral communications, the public shall have the opportunity at every regularly scheduled meeting to be heard under oral communications on matters not appearing on the agenda. Oral communications shall allow any resident who has a request or complaint of any nature relative to city business to appear before the council, state their problem without debate, and the matter shall be referred to the proper agency through the office of the mayor. The resident will be notified within 2 weeks prior relative to disposition of same, and a copy shall be forwarded to the city council. Persons speaking under oral communication shall be limited to 3 minutes each, and the council president shall not allow complaints as to individual performance. So would anybody like to speak under oral communications? Once again, if you are calling in on a phone, you can press *9. And if you are watching on a device or a computer, there is a raise hand button to be recognized to speak for oral communications. Anyone? Okay. So we do have a caller, last 4 digits, 7262. Can you hear me? Hello, caller. Nope.
Hello?
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Could we have your name and address for the record, please?
Yeah, it's Bob Rowland, 18 Marina Drive.
Hey, Bob, how are you?
Very good. How you doing, Steve?
Good. Nice to hear from you. What's going on?
Couple of thoughts and concerns. I think you'll hear from other people on Marina Drive. As far as the condition of the sidewalks, Marina Drive, we've seen and I've seen adults trip, slip, fall. I've seen kids going to the bus stop at the bottom of Marina Drive. Sections of Marina Drive sidewalks really need to be addressed from a safety concern. Number 2, Briar Neck parking for Good Harbor Beach. There are 26, or used to be 26 parking spaces at Briar Neck for the residents. Over the past 2, maybe 3 summer seasons, it's been taken over by a private, and I think it's on the agenda tonight, privately taken over with construction vehicles that has eliminated all parking for residents. I know it's an election year. My concerns are all based on residents, and I think the Briar Neck should be opened up. Obviously, it's going to come around in a short order here as far as the beach parking for the residents. Number 3, finally, Wingashi resident parking to the right of the parking area where most residents park at Wingashi Beach. It's a wide area where I know DPW trucks do go on the beach from that section, but there's room for a boardwalk. We have boardwalks, 3 boardwalks at Wingashi for non-residents, but the access for residents to the right at Wingashi does not have any boardwalk. And I've seen strollers, women, men trying to get to the beach, having a lot of difficulty trying to get down to the beach. Approximately 150 feet of boardwalk. I know the high school shops in the past have made boardwalks. DPW have made boardwalks. There's plenty of room for a truck to go down there, DPW truck, along with a boardwalk there on the right side. So that's my concerns. Number 1 would be Marina Drive sidewalks, though, for safety reasons. Thank you.
All right, Bob, thank you. Appreciate it. Always a pleasure hearing from you.
Good to hear from you. I'd like to thank Councilor O'Hara. I've been in contact with him recently, and he asked me to speak up. So
Yep, great. Did a good job.
I
Thank
can
you.
remember when some of you guys used to be in pretty good shape, pretty good athletes, but are those days over?
I'm still there, baby. I can take on anything.
Yeah, you know, you always could.
Thanks, Bob. I'll see you. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Take care. Bye.
All right, up next, we have Ms. Palazzola. Mrs. Palazzola, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Thank you. Name and address for the record, please.
57 Western Avenue, Gloucester, Mass.
Thank you.
I'd like to make a comment. I sent an email out to the city council and to the P&D committee. And one of my concerns turned out to be, after I sent everything out, that the Concom was meeting at the same time as the P&D committee. So something was worked out between the 2 groups, and the Concom changed their meeting back to the 21st. Turns out that the P&D meeting decided that they weren't going to vote that night, and they were going to go visit the site. Trouble is now we're back to the same position. Both groups are going to be meeting at the same time. Now, I was told by Val that that Concom is only an advisory board, and we can watch it the next day. But the trouble is we like to speak at that meeting. So I'd like to make a comment that if there's any kind of chance that one of them could change their meetings or a different time so that we could see both of these, because they're both about the school. My comment is I don't want to miss either. So, and there's going to be a lot spoken, I think, at both these meetings. And that's my comment. So if there's anything you can do to make a change, whether it be at the time frame that you have it, so that both groups could meet the same night, that would be great. I don't care about them changing their date if they can do that. Thank you.
All right, we'll see what we can do. Thank you. All right.
Counselor, can I just comment on that?
Yes, Councilor Gilman, go ahead.
Thank you. So from a procedure standpoint, the mayor asked me to be in touch with Adrienne Lennon, which I was. She chairs, she's a city official that sits on Concom. And Adrienne assured us that they would not be taking up this matter at the meeting on the 21st. So it's a placeholder on the Concom agenda that she assured us would not be a conflict with our, it's not the 21st, I'm sorry, it's the 9th, it's on May 19th. That's when P&D meets. They will not be taking this up at Concom on May 19th. So there will not be a conflict of people that want to attend both. So I copied the mayor on that so she could see it, because sometimes she gets the calls with people. And that was from Adrian Lennon. So I just wanted to mention that. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. All right, so we are still in oral communications. Is there anybody else that would like to speak under oral communications? If you are calling in on a phone, you can press *9. If you're watching on a device or a laptop or whatever your choice is, you can, there's a raise hand button to request to speak. Okay. Seeing none. All right, Madam Clerk, we have the next order of business, please.
Next order of business was a presentation by Karen Carroll, Health
So,
Director.
Yep, I'll take it.
Okay.
So our health director, she is out on leave at the moment. She reached out to us and asked us if she could postpone it for a couple of weeks, and I didn't see a problem with that. We all know what's going on, and we're all pretty updated with everything at this point. We're getting our updates from the mayor's office, and hopefully we're forwarding our updates from the mayor's office to our constituents. So Karen will be our next city council meeting with our citywide update, and hopefully she'll have some better news for us moving forward where we can ease some restrictions. I don't know anything. I'm hoping for the best. That's all. All right. So we'll have that in 2 weeks. Madam Clerk, next order of business, please.
Is the confirmation of new appointments.
All right. Our Chair of Ordinance Administration, Councilor Nolan.
All right, so we're going to start off with the Gloucester Archives Committee. The Ordinance Administration Committee voted by roll call 3 in favor, 0 opposed, to recommend the City Council appoint Beth Whalen to the Gloucester Archives Committee, term to expire 2/14/24, and I so move.
Second.
All right, motion's been made by Councilor Nolan, seconded by Councilor O'Hara. Is there any discussion? Anyone else? Okay, and Madam Clerk, may I have who's the first roll? Is it it's myself? Is it?
No, it's Jen Holgram.
Okay. Councilor Holmgren,
Yes.
Councilor LeBlanc, yes. Councilor McCarthy,
Yes.
Councilor Memhard is not with us. Councilor Nolan,
Yes.
Councilor O'Hara,
Yes.
Councilor Pat,
Yes.
Councilor Cox,
Yes.
and Councilor Gilman.
Yes.
Motion passes on a roll call vote of 8 in favor, 1 absent. All right, Councilor Nolan.
The next one's going to be for the Gloucester Cultural Council, and the Ordinance Administration Committee voted by roll call 3 in favor, 0 opposed, to recommend the City Council appoint Arthur Thomas to the Gloucester Cultural Council, term to expire 2/14/24, and also move.
Second.
All right, motion's been made by Councilor Nolan, seconded by Councilor O'Hara. Is there any other discussion? Councilor Holmgren?
Yes, I would like to very much endorse this appointment, and I want to thank Arthur for his service. I believe he will be an asset to this committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Jen. Anybody else? All right, seeing none, I will call for the roll call. Councilor Holmgren?
Yes.
Councilor LeBlanc? Yes. Councilor McCarthy?
Yes.
Councilor Nolan?
Yes.
Councilor O'Hara?
Yes.
Councilor Pat?
Yes.
Councilor Cox?
Yes.
And Councilor Gilman.
Yes.
Motion passes on a roll call vote of 8 in favor, 1 absent. Councilor Nolan?
Up next, we have an appointment to the Historical Commission. The Ordinance Administration Committee voted by roll call 3 in favor, 0 opposed, to recommend the City Council appoint Ralph Pistoro to the Historic Commission. Sorry if I didn't get that right. Term to expire 2/14/24.
Second.
Great, motion's been made by Councilor Nolan, seconded by Councilor O'Hara. Any councilor discussion? Councilor Gilman?
Thank you, Counselor. I've worked closely with Ralph for the last 7 years. He's been on the board and currently is president of the Lanesville Historical Commission. And he is just a pleasure to work with. He's easy to work with. He's good with follow through. He's good with getting the community together. And I can't say enough good things about this selection. So I am really excited to see him joining a total city board right now. And I think with your votes, you'll be very excited about his job. So thank you, Ralph, for signing up for this.
Great. Thank you, Val. Anybody else? All right, seeing none, we'll call for the roll call. Council Holmgren,
Yes.
Councilor LeBlanc, yes. Council McCarthy,
Yes.
Councilor Nolan,
Yes.
Council O'Hara,
Yes.
Councilor Pat,
Yes.
Councilor Cox,
Yes.
and Councilor Gilman.
Yes,
Motion passes on a roll call vote of 8 in favor, 1 absent. All right, Councilor Nolan, proceed.
Yet next would be for the Open Space and Recreation Committee, which is growing excellently. The Ordinance Administration Committee voted by roll call 3 in favor, 0 opposed, to recommend the City Council appoint Liam Anastasia Murphy to the Open Space and Recreation Committee, term to expire 2/14/24, and I so move.
Second.
All right, motion's been made by Councilor Nolan, seconded by Councilor O'Hara. Any other councilor discussion? So I just want to say that Liam has been a standout in our athletic program for Gloucester High School. So this is a perfect fit for him, and I only wish that I could run like him. Honestly, I don't know how some people run for miles and miles and miles, but anyway, we do have all the new appointments on the call this evening. I just want to let everybody know that they are attendees, so they are with us this evening. But I think Liam's going to be a great fit for the Open Space Committee. So that's my 2 cents. Anybody else? All right, seeing none, I will call for the roll call. Councilor Holmgren,
Yes.
Councilor LeBlanc, yes. Councilor Nolan,
Yes.
Councilor O'Hara. Oh, I'm sorry, Councilor McCarthy,
Yes.
Councilor O'Hara. Jamie, can you hear us or you froze?
Yes.
There we go. Councilor Pat,
Yes.
Councilor Cox,
Yes.
Councilor Gilman. All right, motion passes on a roll call vote of 8 in favor, 1 absent. And I think we're to the last one, Councilor Nolan.
The last one is from the Zoning Board of Appeals. The Ordinance Administration Committee voted by roll call 3 in favor, 0 opposed, to recommend the City Council appoint James Gigalotti as an alternate member to the Zoning Board of Appeals, term to expire 2/14/24, and I so move.
Second.
Motion's been made by Councilor Nolan, seconded by Councilor O'Hara. Any other councilor discussion? All right, seeing none, I will call for the roll. Councilor Holmgren,
Yes.
Councilor LeBlanc, yes. Councilor McCarthy,
Thank you to all 5 for volunteering, and yes.
absolutely. Councilor Nolan,
Yes, and thank you to all 5.
Councilor O'Hara,
Yes.
Councilor Pat,
Thank you to all 5 for volunteering, and thank you to Mayor Romeo Taken, who is on the call with us, for this excellent slate of nominees. And yes.
thank you, Barry. Councilor Cox,
Yes.
Councilor Gilman.
yes,
Motion passes on a roll call vote of 8 in favor, 1 absent. And we do have our mayor on the call this evening. Mayor Taken's here, and we do have our city auditor here, Kenny Costa. And let's see, Madam Clerk, we have the next order of business, please.
The consent agenda?
All right, are there any councilors that would like to remove anything from the consent agenda this evening? All right, seeing none, I will entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
second,
All right, motion's been moved by Councilor Cox, seconded by Councilor Gilman. Any other discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the roll. Councilor Holmgren,
Yes.
Councilor LeBlanc, yes. Counselor McCarthy,
Yes.
Counselor Nolan,
Yes.
Counselor O'Hara,
Yes.
Counselor Pat,
Yes.
Counselor Cox,
Yes.
and Counselor Gilman.
Yes.
Motion passes to approve the consent agenda as written is a roll call vote of 8 in favor, 1 absent. Is there anybody that we do have a unanimous consent agenda this evening? Are there any councilors that would like to remove anything off our unanimous consent agenda? All right, seeing none, I will entertain a motion to approve our unanimous consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved by Counselor Cox, seconded by Counselor Gilman. Any other discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the roll. Counselor Holmgren,
Yes.
Counselor LeBlanc, yes. Counselor McCarthy,
Yes.
Counselor Nolan,
Yes.
Counselor O'Hara,
Yes.
Counselor Pat,
Yes.
Counselor Cox,
Yes.
and Counselor Gilman.
Yes.
Motion passes on a roll call vote for the unanimous consent agenda, passes 8 in favor, 1 absent. All right, Madam Clerk, next order of business, please.
Is the Budget and Finance Standing Committee report of May 6th.
All right, I'm going to hand it over to our Budget and Finance Chair, Melissa Cox.
I provided a consent agenda for the things that we covered at the meeting. If anybody has anything they'd like to pull, please let me know.
All right, is there anybody that would like to remove anything from the consent agenda from Budget and Finance?
I moved the consent agenda.
Second.
No. All right, it's been moved by Counselor Cox, seconded by Counselor McCarthy. Counselor Cox, any discussion?
No.
Okay. All right, I will call for the roll. Counselor Holmgren,
Yes.
Counselor LeBlanc, yes. Counselor McCarthy,
Yes.
Counselor Nolan,
Yes.
Counselor O'Hara,
Yes.
Counselor Pat,
Yes.
Counselor Cox,
Yes.
Counselor Gilman.
Yes.
Motion passes to approve the Budget and Finance unanimous consent agenda on a roll call vote of 8 in favor, 1 absent. All right, Madam Clerk, next order of business, please.
Ordinance and Administration Standing Committee report of May 3rd.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. All right, back over to Counselor Nolan.
So we'll start off with the Ordinance and Administration Committee voted by roll call, 3 in favor, 0 opposed, to recommend pursuant to Chapter 5 of the Acts of 2021 that the City Council evaluate and report on whether a change in the Ward 1 Precinct 2 polling location from the Veterans Memorial School, 11 Webster Street, to the Glenn T. McLeod Cape Ann YMCA at 7 Croston Road would have a disparate adverse impact on access to the polls on the basis of race, national origin, disability, income, or age, and I so move.
Second.
All right, motion's been made by Counselor Nolan, seconded by Counselor O'Hara. Any discussion? Counselor Pat and then Counselor Gilman.
Just a quick question. Does that read correctly as 7 Crossing Road, or should that be 7 Gloucester Crossing Road?
Good
I'm
question.
not sure.
Um,
Madam Clerk, would
Joanne, could you
Yeah,
weigh in?
I think,
Should that
Melissa
not
would
be?
know.
I think it might be, okay.
It
Melissa?
is, it's 7 Gloucester Crossing Road.
Yes,
So
I apologize for the incorrect address.
that's okay. Sean, do you want to amend it to,
I will make an amendment to change it to 7 Gloucester Crossing Road. And I so move.
Second.
all right, so on the amendment for Gloucester Crossing Road, is there any other discussion? All right, seeing none, Counselor Holmgren on the amendment,
Yes.
Counselor LeBlanc, yes. Counselor McCarthy,
Yes.
Counselor Nolan,
Yes.
Counselor O'Hara,
Yes.
Counselor Pat,
Yes.
Counselor Cox,
Yes.
and Counselor Gilman.
Yes.
All right, motion passes
Counselor-
to amend. Hold on one second, Val. Motion passes to amend the motion on a roll call vote of 8 in favor, 1 absent. Counselor Gilman on the main motion with the amendment now.
Thank you. I have a question, and I think that this should say would not have a disparate adverse impact on access. So I think we should have said that in the motion and it's not on that.
Okay, Councilor
Would
Holmgren?
not have a disparate adverse impact is the way it should read. And
Well, it,
All right,
If-
hold on.
a disparate adverse impact is not what we want. That's, so I think we need to amend it to add the word would not have a disparate adverse impact. So I'd like to amend the motion to
Right.
add,
Hold on, Val, before, go ahead, you can, no, do the amendment and then we'll have the discussion after. Go ahead. You're right.
okay. So
I'll second.
I'd
Hold on.
like to amend the motion to, so I think Council Holgram understood what I said. So
All right, so motion's been made to have the word not in front of have in the last sentence, correct?
yes,
Council Holmgren, so this is up for, motion's been made by Councilor Gilman, seconded by Council Holmgren, and now we're in councilor discussion. Council Holmgren.
so Counselor Gilman, to your point, I understand what you said, but reading the motion, it does make sense. Whether changing it would, that does make sense. So I don't think we need to add not in there. It's a mouthful between whether and would, but it does read correctly grammatically.
Okay, any other councilors? Joanne, do you want to weigh in on this, whether it would have an effect, whether we put the word not?
Okay, so that motion is based on the motion that we did for Plum Cove School,
Okay. so
whether it would have,
So we've done this in past practice.
yes.
okay. So I guess if you go back to Councilor Holgram's point, if you go back to the beginning of the paragraph, the weather would kind of change that. So so I will withdraw my motion.
Okay.
If someone
So-
would second that, that would be great.
Second,
Second,
Motion's been made to withdraw by Councilor Gilman, seconded by Councilor Cox and Councilor Holmgren. So on the withdrawal, so Councilor Holmgren. Withdrawal of the
Yes.
amendment.
yes.
Councilor LeBlanc, yes. Councilor McCarthy,
Yes.
Councilor Nolan,
Yes.
Councilor O'Hara,
Yes.
Councilor Pat,
yes,
Councilor Cox,
yes,
and Councilor Gilman.
Yes, thank you.
Motion to withdraw Councilor Gilman's amendment passes on a roll call vote of 8 in favor, 1 absent. I know the people on the attendees think, we're going above and beyond here, but this is, we're putting laws into effect here. We're changing the ordinances, so we have to make sure we get this right, so we don't have to bring it back to council. So I'm just trying to explain to everything. So back to the main motion with Councilor Nolan's amendment, first amendment. So before we vote, so this is councilor discussion part. I just want to give kudos to Councilor Cox for stepping up for this. I know Councilor Memhard, this is his ward, and he wanted to sponsor this. He sponsored this, but I just want to share a little sidebar with everybody. Councilor Cox and I were at the YMCA a couple of months ago for a tour before it opened, and she had mentioned to Tim, and I don't know Tim's specific title, Melissa. What is it? Tim Flaherty.
director.
He's the
Tim Flaherty.
director. He's the director of the YMCA. So she had mentioned this to Tim, and without batting an eyelash, Tim absolutely agreed to this. So I just want to give kudos to Councilor Cox and the YMCA for bringing this forward and not hesitating, not once, to bring this forward for the polling places in the future. So thank you, Councilor Cox, and thank you to the YMCA for accepting this and making the transition for our polling places a lot easier. So, all right, so back to the main motion with the amendments. Is everybody all set? All right, I will call for the roll call. Councilor Holmgren,
Yes.
Councilor LeBlanc, yes. Councilor McCarthy,
Yes.
Councilor Nolan,
Yes.
Councilor O'Hara,
Yes.
Councilor Pat,
yes.
Councilor Cox,
Yes,
and Councilor Gilman.
Yes,
All right, motion passes on a roll call vote of 8 in favor, 1 absent. All right, and hold on one second. Councilor Nolan, Go ahead, we got one more motion for this.
We do. The Ordinance and Administration Committee voted by roll call, 3 in favor, 0 opposed, to recommend that pursuant to Mass General, to MGHC 54 subsection 24 and section 8.6 of the city charter, that the city council vote to move the Ward 1 Precinct 2 polling location from Veterans Memorial School, 11 Webster Street, to the Glenn T. McLeod Cape Ann YMCA. And I'm going to add in here 7 Gloucester Crossing to make up for the other one, to become effective with the preliminary election on September 14th, 2021, in all future elections, and I so move.
Second.
All right, it's been moved by Councilor Nolan correctly and seconded by Councilor O'Hara. All right, any other discussion? All right, seeing none, I will call for the roll call. Councilor Holmgren,
Yes.
Councilor LeBlanc, yes. Councilor McCarthy,
Yes.
Councilor Nolan,
Yes.
Councilor O'Hara,
Yes.
Councilor Pat,
Yes.
Councilor Cox,
Yes.
and Councilor Gilman.
Yes,
All right, motion passes on a roll call vote of 8 in favor, 1 absent. All right, so that sums up our budget, our ordinance administration. And before we go forward, we do have our chairman of the school committee, Jonathan Pope, on this evening. I see him on the attendees. I just wanted to recognize him this evening also. All right, Madam Clerk, can we have the next order of business, please?
Next order of business is the Planning and Development Standing Committee report of May 5th.
Councilor Gilman.
there are no items to report, but I just wanted to remind counselors, if you have not signed up for one of the site visits, please call me. And we also walked around with notices for the abutters, and so far we have one abutter that is attending. So I just wanted to just remind you to please reach out if you have not signed up. We'd like to have the names because of contract tracing. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. All right, Madam Clerk, next order of business, please.
Next order of business is the first scheduled public hearing 2021-013, rezoning 2021-002 to amend Gloucester zoning ordinance section 5.24, accessory in-law dwelling units in associated definition in section 6, definitions in accordance with the Gloucester zoning ordinance section 111(2) parentheses A.
All right, so I will open the public hearing and continue this until May 25th, 2021. So we're going to push this out for a couple of weeks. All right, Madam Clerk, next order of business, please.
Public hearing 2021-014, whether the city of Gloucester should opt out of spraying activities conducted by the State Reclamation and Mosquito Control Board pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 252, Section 2A.
All right, so I will open the public hearing and ask if there is anybody that would like to speak in favor. So once again, if you are calling in on a telephone or your cell phone, you can press *9 to request to speak. And if you are calling, if you are watching on a device or a computer, there's a raise hand button. So this is in favor. Is there anybody? And you can put your hand up. Everybody that wants to call in, whether you're in favor or in opposition, you can put your hand up now and you can state whether you're in favor or whether you're not in favor or in opposition when you're recognized to speak. So is there anybody that would like to speak in favor? Is there anybody that would like to speak in opposition? All right, so we have our first attendee. Patty, can you hear me, Patty?
Hi, Steve.
Hi, name and address for the record, please.
Patty Page, 3 Tidal Cove Way.
Thank you, Patty. Go ahead.
Hi, I didn't realize the format. I was hoping that Max Schenk would come up first and explain what's in front of you tonight. So I'll say what I understand is the health department forwarded 2 plans, Plan 1 and Plan 2. I'd like to endorse the city council to approve what I'll call Plan 1, which I think is the preferred plan from the health department, that includes educational pieces and, personal protections and I'm not even clear what other items are there, but it doesn't include any treatments, no pesticides, no chemicals. It's basically what we do now. We don't lose anything by taking this on. The state, legislation on this, was broad stroked, and clearly it's not really a one size fits all. They try to provide assets, resources to us if needed. We don't have the need. We don't have the mosquito vector, the disease carrying mosquitoes here. Mostly we have salt marsh mosquitoes. It can happen. It hasn't happened. We have a remote risk in this area. So to ratchet it up at all seems a little counterintuitive from an environmental standpoint, even when you talk about BTI dunks, which is in Plan 2, that first of all includes the hiring of a licensed professional. The city does not have anybody on staff that can do that. BTI often contains methoprene, which is the ingredient that kills the mosquito. But again, arthropoda, mosquitoes, lobsters, crabs, snails, they're all one and the same. So if you're going to endorse anything that kills a mosquito, you are endangering the habit of your other aquatic life. That's just factual. So I'd like to, really strongly endorse the plan that does work for Gloucester now and should work in the future, barring any real emergency that we find a problem. There was a large incident back in 1999 and 2000 where New York was sprayed with these chemicals for mosquito spray. They lost a complete lobster industry down there. They lost a crab industry. 21 years later, it's never recovered. There was a payout by the pesticide company, a large payout, 125 million, and that $50 million industry never recovered down there. So it can be detrimental. So I just ask you to forward this with caution. Thank you. I see I've run over. Thank you.
Thank you, Patty. Just so everybody knows, I did talk to Max earlier, and I told him that he's here for some questions if he wants to speak up for any councilor questions. All right, so we have Noam. Noam, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Thank you so much.
Name and address for the record, please.
My name is Naomi Graham. I live at 1 Bickford Way. And I wanted to just add a little bit on to what Patty said, in 100% agreement in what she framed there for the two plans. And that if there were going to be a BTI dunk element to our proposal to the state, because I do understand that they also can push back on local plans if they don't feel that they have enough teeth to them. If there were to be that put into the plan, can we please design in very clear thresholds as to when that would be instated, when that we would need to use the BTI dunks, and what controls we would be putting on the company who we hire to use it to mitigate as much damage as possible. Ideally, no pesticide use, but I do understand the position that you guys are in relationship with the state, wanting to have, something that they know is going to kill back the mosquitoes carrying the EEE. So that's the only thing I would add, is that if we can draft something, obviously with the help of the Board of Health or other groups, that there just be really clear language about how we're going to use it if we are going to. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Naomi. And I apologize because on your screen, it just says N-O-M-E. So
yeah, no worries.
I apologize. Thank you, Naomi. All right. Up next, we have Lisa. Lisa, can you hear me?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Name and address for the record, please.
Lisa Rigsby, 3 Taylor Court, Gloucester. Well, first, I realize that this is all happening quickly. Max Shank had a very short period of time to put the plans together. If I understand, there are two plans. I've only seen Plan 1 without the BTI dunks. And I just want to say that in my communication with Max, I asked about the last time that he knew of on record that Gloucester had used a BTI dunk. And to his knowledge, it was like the early 2000s. I think he said maybe 2001. He didn't have anything. So it's been quite a while. We have clearly managed without using BTI dunks, and the legislature that was passed in June of last year kind of flipped the game, if you will, where now municipalities, cities and towns are forced to opt out rather than to opt in. And we haven't opted into a mosquito district. We haven't paid the subscription, if you will, services for that. And the plan that he outlines in the plan without the BTI dunks is clearly in alignment with a bill that is currently being tabled. It passed legislation. It's with the Committee on Environment, Natural Resources and Agriculture, which is an act providing for public health by establishing an ecologically based mosquito management program in the Commonwealth. It's expected to come to lawmakers next year. So he's actually outlined in Plan 1, without the BTI dunks, the very measures that this bill is highlighting in what is currently passing through right now and being reviewed. So I think it would be a nice boon for Gloucester if we show that we're proactive in a 21st century mosquito control management program that does not include this as an alternative, i.e. the BTI dunks. That's it.
All right, great job, Lisa. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, we have our next caller, and we have Patty. Patty, can you hear me? Hello, Patty.
Come up.
Yep, I can hear you, Patty.
You can, okay, sorry.
There we go.
Whoops.
That's okay. Name it. You didn't say anything wrong. So name and
Okay,
name and
thank
address for the
goodness for
record,
that.
please. Yeah.
Okay, Patty Amaral, 14 Myrtle Square.
Go ahead.
I don't know much about this except for what Patty Page just told me, so I'm just not really, I just know this, that spraying anything, we have a circle of life, right? And so when we spray and we kill everything, we're killing all those things that you really need. You know, something about Neptune's Harvest fertilizer, right? It's organic, it doesn't kill anything. We have to think about these things for our environment. And so please choose the option 1. Those dunks sound horrible. Rachel Carson would be really upset right now with that. So I hope you guys choose that, and thank you for your work on this, and I hope you choose option 1. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Patty. All right, and up next we have Brenda. Brenda, can you hear me? Hello, Brenda. So what happens during these public hearings sometimes is people leave their computer on and walk away to do a couple other things with the
She's
microphone
muted.
up. So there we go. I knew you were there and I knew you were listening. I just wanted to get your attention.
No, this is good. Thank you.
All right,
Brenda
cool.
Lloyd, 43 Rocky Neck Ave. I absolutely support opting out. I would vote for the first plan. And I concur with everything that Patty and Noam and Lisa said. And thank you.
All right, Brenda. Awesome. Thank you. We appreciate it. All right. Is there anybody else that would like to speak in favor or in opposition? We have Ruth. Ruth, can you hear me?
Yes.
There we go. Name and address for the record, please.
Ruth Mordecai, 4 Terrace Lane in
Go.
Gloucester.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Thank you for your work on this, and definitely with number 1, with no treatments and to stay as we are. And I appreciate hearing what the others had to say, and that's it for me. But I'm hoping that we stay with what we have and 1.
Ruth, thank you. I appreciate it. All right. Is there anybody else that would like to speak in favor or in opposition of the opt-out for the mosquitoes? All right. Going once. Speak in favor and opposition, going twice. All right. Madam Clerk, do we have any communications?
Yes, we received 19 communications in support to opt out, and 1 communication to accept the Plan 1. And I shared those communications with you in a Google Doc folder, so you've seen all the communication and who has submitted them.
All right, thank you, Joanne. All right, so now we're on the counselor questions part of it. Barry's been itching with his trigger finger for a little bit, so I'm gonna do Counselor Pett, Counselor Gilman, and then Counselor Holmgren.
Okay, thank you, Mr. President. Thank you to Councilor Cox, I think, for originally bringing this to everyone's attention when it first came out. I spent quite a bit of time with Max Shank in Karen's absence, trying to find out about all of this and how he was going to come up with, a plan, a recommendation, which he and the Conservation Commission have come up with, and including the alternatives that does include the BTI dunks. The current, from my understanding, and Max can correct me if I'm wrong, but even the current spraying, as well as the dunks, do not use some of the chemicals that say like Patty Page had referred to. I'm not trying to say that they're environmentally friendly at all, but they are not the things that were used in some of these issues before. I was.
Sorry, one thing. I don't want to cut you off. I know you're in a moment. We're just at councilor questions right now.
Okay, quick.
I don't want to get ahead of the game before our discussion. That's all.
Okay. Questions you mean to Max?
Yes.
Okay, I'll hold off for the rest. You just don't erase it, because I go on for a while.
No, I know. I just don't. I don't want to put the cart before the horse just yet for councilor discussion. That'll come after the motion. All right, Councilor Gilman.
I attended the Board of Health meeting, and the description that the Board of Health made, including Max, our Assistant Director of Public Health, was very helpful. So I was wondering if we could just ask him to give us a 2-minute tutorial on what the recommendation was and for what reasons, because I think that would be helpful just for that little review before we vote on this. Thank you.
Thank you, Val. Jen, do you have a question before we let Max speak? So maybe he can answer this. Well, your question also. Go ahead, Jen.
Yeah, I have a few questions, and I do want to thank everyone for calling in and for emailing, and that really did make a difference. I also attended the Board of Health meeting and listened in. I have a couple of questions in regard to practicability, specifically for putting out to bid vendors who would be able to do the opt-out to carry this out, and also any mandates for education and outreach. I want to make sure that we've got all of those ducks in a row, and I am definitely, I will say I'm in favor of the opt-out 100%, but I want to know how we can help the Board of Health and the Health Department do this. So thank you. I'll look forward to Max's information.
All right, thank you, Jen. And before we get any more councilor questions, we'll let Max digest what we got in front of him first before we pile any more on. Go ahead, Max.
So by way of background, probably is the best thing to do. The previous speakers had, audience members had mentioned the fact that this legislation was changed back in June or July, allowing for the State Reclamation and Mosquito Control Board, in cooperation with the State Department of Public Health, to perform aerial spraying in times and areas where it felt it was a critical need for doing so. Fast forward, we knew nothing about this, and until a resident of West Gloucester came to a Board of Health meeting, I think back in September, and brought it to our attention more for the possibility that this legislation would provide for testing. I mean, that's the one thing we would like to know is West Nile virus in our community or not, and or Triple E or anything else for that matter. So I checked with the Northeast Mosquito Control District and one of their representatives. They said, no, it doesn't include that. But also, I was told at that time that, oh, we wouldn't likely be affected by this because we're not an area where a great number of the vector mosquitoes for West Nile virus or arborvirus, Triple E, that sort of thing, are around. So, it's don't worry, and basically don't worry about it. Everything will be fine. Fast forward, and thanks to Councilor Cox and her getting my ear, we started looking into the fact that there is this opt-out option. As a matter of fact, unless you opt out, your community risks being sprayed regardless of what you want. And so we started doing some fast research, and I want to thank Patty Page and some others who helped provide some information that filled in some of the gaps. And lo and behold, so the mainstay, and this gets to Councilor Holmgren's, some of her comments, the mainstay of this is actually the council's responsibility. So the council has to put forward a plan with their vote and certain stipulations within that vote in order to be able to opt out. They have changed the date. I don't know if councilors are aware of that. It was originally May 15th because of the pushback from communities about the lack of notice. They pushed it back to May 28th, so we have a little bit more time. But the request of the plan is that the council develop a plan, put forward a plan with the consultation of the Board of Health, which has been done. We kind of did take the lead on this because we have more of the background on what the community has done in the past. So, the push was on. They have a form that needs to be filled out. So it's not like you create a plan and just launch it at them. They have a very strict form they want you to fill out and as to what you are going to do. Now, Councilor Gilman and all are very correct that in the past, by and large, the response of this community, even in times of heightened risk based on what's been going on in other communities around us, our response has been education, outreach, and that the best defense is an educated public. And self-protection. So recommending sprays on individuals and limiting activities during certain times of the day and in certain locations. So that is essentially what we're putting forward. Now, the Department of Public Health, when it does it has a 4-tiered system for alerts when they alert people about the risk of West Nile virus or Triple E. And it starts off with a low, then it goes to moderate, then it goes to high, then it goes to critical. Now, what the department has done and what the Board of Health has approved, and I'll explain that process a little bit in a second, is a response to each of those levels so that, let me just draw this up here if you excuse me just for one sec. So at the low level, at the start of the season, which is generally May, there's messages via city website and health department webpage, press releases to local media outlets to include information on how to prepare for and help prevent exposure to arborvirus. Then we get up to the moderate level of warnings. Then it's all of the above, adding the following information: the use of mosquito netting on baby carriages and playpens, and dumping standing water twice weekly. Now it's a good practice to have. Just by point of reference, and if people are wondering what it takes for mosquitoes to breed, basically a bottle cap's worth of water is enough for a mosquito to breed. So just keep that in mind when you're cleaning up your yard. Then it goes from moderate to high. So then again, we're escalating a little bit more based on the threat level. So we're all of the above, adding the following information, using the smart 911 alert system that we have as a method for informing public of increased risk and precautions. Public events and people over the age of 50 or those who are immune compromised should adjust outdoor activity to avoid peak mosquito hours from dusk to dawn. And public parks and open space areas should be posted with warning signs and or closed from dusk to dawn. With that, which is something we have done in the past. So that's, keeping again perfectly in line with past practice. Then it goes up to critical, and critical would essentially be you have a West Nile virus or EEE case in an adjoining community, and it's been confirmed that EEE or West Nile virus containing mosquitoes are in the area. All the above. I'm sorry? Forgive me, do you want me to continue?
Yep, go ahead.
Okay.
I think the mayor was on mute.
Okay.
For a split second.
So then the next level being critical, all the above, and situation-specific recommendations by the Mass Department of Public Health, the Health Department, and the City Administration, closure of public parks and open space areas from dusk to dawn. There are also some measures that we can take in terms of enforcement. So if we find that there are businesses that aren't doing good practices, our first approach is always outreach. So businesses that usually automotive companies or dealerships and that sort of thing who have tires standing outside. It's a perfect breeding ground for mosquitoes, I'm afraid. So we ask that they stack them in such a way that they won't collect water as a bare minimum. But if they don't, we can bring them before the Board of Health if necessary. But looking at our records, I have Kelly Highland, our public health nurse, check our records for the last 5 years because that's required as part of this application. And there's never been a human case of West Nile virus or EEE in the community in the last 5 years at minimum. I don't think it even goes beyond that. So we think it's a very measured approach. The board voted on this approach to approve it on their meeting of April 22nd. And the second plan, the one that folks seem to be a little bit concerned about, was put forward only to provide an option to the council. So it's completely up to the council what you want to do. If you want to opt out or not opt out, and if you do want to opt out, which plan you want to use, or if you want to come up with any other variations on the theme, that's all within your power right now. We would be more than happy to make whatever modifications to a plan that you see fit and provide whatever advice we could. But the use of dunks, and I understand people's concern, it is the least most effective but least harmful of all the options that are available to us, really. And so they have been used in the past by the health department back years ago when we had a mosquito control plan. I think they had mentioned, and I did the last reference to any mosquito control oversight by the department I can find is from 2001, but they did do it prior to that. And they did have a dunk program for certain catch basins in town. There is kind of a confusion about methoprene and dunks. I understand, and I'm having a hard time finding the ingredient in actual physical dunks being listed in those dunks. And I believe methoprene is normally sprayed. And so in this case in New York that was mentioned, it wasn't BTI, it was methoprene that was being sprayed, and that did cause the harm. And in situations where the BTI was used in combination with methoprene, I believe it was in a spray. So, but I can't confirm that, so don't take that to the bank just yet. I think people are absolutely right that if the council does choose to move forward with a option that includes the use of dunks, that all efforts be made to ensure that it doesn't include that or any other ingredient that may be harmful to the environment. Back to Councilor Holmgren's question regarding the logistics of how to get somebody contract and that sort of thing. I'm afraid I really can't speak to that. I mean, we can help the DPW develop a scope of services and what should be included. But in terms of walking it through, the process for purchasing and contracting, that's in their wheelhouse right now.
All right, thank you, Max. Councilor Cox, and then Councilor Holmgren.
Thank you, Max. In the application that we received in our packet, on page 4, under larval mosquito control, we do have checked best professional judgment, but then we additional check of other, and it states where the BTI dunks would be distributed. I would like to eliminate that altogether from our application, but I would like to know from you if we eliminated that and the comment section below on page 4, where it says catch basin treatments, also uncheck that. If we were to send in the application with those unchecked and the other information removed, and we strictly went on an education opt-out reason, what's the likelihood of it being rejected? Or do we just not know?
Well, to get to the first part of your question, there are 2 plans. One is an opt-out without any dunks, anything else. So you wouldn't, that plan, which is the one that was approved by the board, doesn't check those boxes and doesn't have that option integrated into it at all. It's the second plan that does. So you would just use the first plan as an example. Now, it is an excellent question. And will not having a sort of alternative treatment plan in place affect the application? My suggestion, recommendation, I believe he is also in support, was that the next thing to do would probably be to talk to our state legislators and gather their support for this plan, and that it move forward. I think that would be very helpful. I think they got a blowback on this that they weren't expecting whatsoever. Right. And that everybody's kind of scrambling and realizing that maybe this wasn't the best way of approaching this. We should have maybe had an opt-in versus an opt-out. That was mentioned. So I have a feeling if communities are willing to go through the process, and this is a lengthy process, and put a plan together that is fairly comprehensive and is supported by the entire community, I think it would behoove them to let it go and to approve it. I'm sorry, I see Councilor Holmgren's hand going up. I just half German, half Italian. I'll keep going, people, so don't worry.
Hold on, Melissa's got the floor just now, and then we'll go to get a Councilor Holmgren.
Thank you, Councilor Blank. The problem is that the packet, the information that we received in the packet is the application completed as if we were going to submit the BTI dunks as an alternate plan. So I'd like to have the application redone without that information in it, if we're going to go with plan 1, if that's the way the council votes tonight. It's just right now, this is the only public document that people are seeing, and it has that as an option. So
I apologize. There were 2 provided to the administration for submission to the council. So both plans should have been provided. I'm not sure why both weren't.
Okay, maybe that's just out of order then. That's fine. Thank you for your information. I appreciate your time.
No problem.
All right, Councilor Holmgren.
Thank you, Max. I want to make sure that I'm clear on this. So I agreed with Naomi Graham's point that we need to draft clear language if we do opt out. And I want to make sure that we understand clearly we need to do something if we do opt out, or else we get fined. And I'm not sure if, even if we get the support of our state legislators, if it will be done, if that support will be solidified in time prior to us getting fined or not. So I want to make sure that we're very cautious about this. And I know you are too. And I appreciate all the work that's been done here, but I'm just hoping that we can work that out tonight if possible.
So forgive me, I'm sorry, Councilor LeBlanc, can I respond?
Yes, absolutely. Go ahead, Max.
So I want to try and understand more clearly what it is that you're looking for. So you're saying that you believe the plan needs more definition or more trigger points for how things move forward, or?
Yes, thank you. Unless I'm misunderstanding, we need something in place. We can't just opt out without an alternate plan, or else there's a fine levied, unless I'm misunderstanding.
So that's what's before you this evening. That's the that application is actually, in fact, the plan, and that plan, along with, and I got laid out in a memo, the vote of the council, and there are several things that had to be included in that vote, and all that goes forward via email to the Executive Office of Energy and Environmental Affairs for their review. And so, and they have to approve it. And so in that deadline, as I've said before, is May 28th at this point. So it's the plan, it's the vote of the council with all the bells and whistles that the state is requiring, and all that goes forward, and then we wait and see.
Okay. Thank you, Max.
Thank you, Max. Any other councilor questions? Councilor Pat? Oh,
Yes,
hold on.
question, Max. One of the things, as I had discussed with you, is the question of whether the Commonwealth would accept our plan if it's just the messaging and that type of a thing. And that's why I had to ask the questions about the BTI dunks as a backup, as an alternative. Could you answer the question for me? I've been trying to continue to check with different people, our legislators and that type of thing. I was concerned that if, what if we didn't have a plan? So if, say, the Tripoli or West Nile or some came here and we did not have that included in our plan. And I'm told that what would happen is if that did come here somehow, as unlikely as that is, that the state would come in and do things automatically. Is that your understanding? And is that regardless, even if we've opted out and our plan is our messaging and, education and that type of thing, that if for some reason it did come, that the state would probably step in and take action of some sort, whether that be, spraying, whether it be dunks or any other thing, but would they probably step in anyway?
That's not my understanding, and I've not heard that. If you have a resource for who gave you that information, I'd love to have a conversation with them about it, because that's the first I've heard. All the language in the document basically goes back to, you need this document to be able to opt out so that this spraying wouldn't be done. Now, the point of confusion may be coming from the fact that this is separate from being a participant in a mosquito control board, or excuse me, a participant with Northeast Mosquito Control District. So if you're part of the mosquito control district, you would actually still need to put in this application and Beverly is actually doing this. They are part of the Northeast Mosquito Control District. However, they're choosing the opt-out because they want to just rely on their mosquito control plan rather than having the state come in whenever they felt like it, or based on their criteria. I shouldn't say that just because they feel like it, but based on their criteria to spray. So even if you are part of a mosquito control district, you still need to do this if you don't want that to happen. So maybe that's part of the confusion. So if you are part of a mosquito control district and don't opt out because you figure, well, we're part of the mosquito control district, what could possibly go wrong? this supersedes that. So it doesn't matter. So that may be where the miscommunication is coming from. There aren't that many communities in the Northeast that are not part of the district. I think Lawrence, Beverly, no, not Beverly, forgive me. Lawrence, Essex, Rockport, and ourselves are the few communities that aren't part of the district itself. So if the questions are going around, they may just automatically think that we're part of the district.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Councilor Cox, I apologize. I saw your hand up before Barry's. And
All right. Max, both applications are in there. They were just out of order. So my wanted to let you know that they were both included. With the deadline being moved, are they going to review the applications? Because even if we vote tonight, it's not a 100% guarantee that they're going to allow us to opt out. I mean, the likelihood is high. I get that. But are they going to notify us if we are denied and then allow us to reconvene on the issue? Or is it just a denial and then we're in?
Excellent question. I haven't heard anything in terms of their time. I actually did send an email to, I think it was the Executive Office of Environmental Affairs asking that question and had never received a response. So I think it's worth asking again. It may be a good idea for the administration with their authority to possibly ask the question and find out what the answer is.
I agree. Thank you.
okay, so we're still in councilor questions part of this. My question is that, seeing that the deadline has been pushed back, would it be best, and Max, I would like your opinion on this also. Would it be best that we pause for 2 weeks because our next council meeting is on the 25th, so we can get a little bit more clarification on this and continue this out to the 25th, and then possibly reconvene on this with some of these answers? Because I'd hate to vote this evening not knowing what the repercussions are of a fine, or if we opt out and they don't accept our opt out and they just automatically opt us in. And I do agree with you, it should be an opt-in program, not an opt-out program. So I mean, what would your thoughts? I mean, we can take a straw poll as a council to push this back a little bit, but I'd like to, I mean, you heard some tough questions tonight, and I just want to give kudos to all the callers this evening for being so educated on this and reaching out to our health department and actually helping them through this, because I know it's a blurred line on some of the things that make us do. So would you feel more comfortable coming back in 2 weeks so we have a solid answer and we can figure out what we want to do? Because I don't think I'm prepared to vote on this evening. All right, Council Holmgren.
I'm with you, Mr. President. I think that it's probably a good idea to do just a little more research, just so that we are fully prepared as far as the practicability of all of this goes. And Max, I really appreciate all the work that you've done thus far. This is a tough one, so thank you.
Councilor Cox, you had your hand up.
Yeah, I mean, if we're going to go with Plan 1, which is just an educational aspect, and the fact that the deadline is the 28th, which we thought it was going to be the 15th, which is why we had the public hearing now. I don't see a reason to delay the vote on the option. It gives Board of Health time to compile the application with the necessary documents, submit it, and possibly even get some feedback. The questions that I've heard tonight that are unanswered are in regards to the BTI and the ingredients in them, and some of the ways in which we would contract to release the BTIs, which isn't in option 1, which is to not use them at all. So I think, in all fairness to the Board of Health, who has to compile and submit this document, If we are truly in favor of only using an educational aspect on this based on the recommendation from Concom and Board of Health, then we should proceed and allow the Board of Health the time that they need to submit the application.
Okay.
Again, the questions that we've had
Right.
are in regards to the BTI and deployment, which we don't recommend using. Well, I mean, that's what the going recommendation is.
So Max, do you submit this application or does it come through our council, through our clerk, or is this through the administration?
I believe it comes through the Council of the Administration. It's
Right,
actually,
so-
to be perfectly frank with you, it goes to an email address. So I don't think they're going to be checking the email address of who sent it. What's going to be the important part of it is the plan, the vote, and possibly a certificate of vote to indicate the fact that the council had fully met on this. And actually, I'll go over, forgive me, Councilor McCarthy, I'll just real fast. The vote should include the following: the date and time of the public meeting, that the Board of Health was consulted, which obviously it has been, that public comment was allowed, whether the municipality is opting out of all spraying or only certain spray activities such as aerial spraying. If a vote does not include that, it is for a specific type of spraying. The vote will cover all spray activities conducted by State Reclamation and Mosquito Control Board. That the vote to opt out will only be honored if an alternative mosquito management plan is submitted and approved by the EEA. So, but all of this gets forwarded to them all at once. And then we have to see, you're right, we have to sit and wait to see whether or not they approved the plan at all.
So a educational part of this only would be sufficient for an opt-out?
It is the minimum requirement. So regardless of anything else that you plan on doing, whether it's dunks, whether it's doing your own spraying or fogging or whatever you want to do, it bare minimum has to have that education and outreach component in order to be able to be passable.
Okay, so I'm comfortable with that. All right, Council McCarthy?
Yeah, I was just going to say pretty much the same thing. Maybe after we close the questions and get into discussion, we have a better idea whether we have a consensus to go with the alternate plan, which is already in the packet and submitted. So, and we probably get it over and done with tonight.
Okay, any other council questions? All right, we do have Patty Page has her hand up. Patty, unfortunately, we have passed the public hearing part of this. We're into the council of questions part of this, so I'm going to move forward. Councilor Cox?
We've gone through this for the last hour. I think if there's a question to be had, we should take it up.
Okay, without any other objection? All right, we will allow Patty to talk. Hello, Patty.
Thank you.
Okay.
Hi, thank you, Steve. I did want to just address what I think it was Barry's concern, and it is a big concern. If there is an emergency public health response required, the state will come in and conduct treatment. So you don't lose that. The opt-out goes away. It's exempt. The only thing that would be exempt would be a certified organic farm in that instance. So we would be protected from a public health standpoint. The state would see to that. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Patty. All right, any other councilor questions? All right, seeing none, I will close the public hearing and call for the committee report. Councilor, and actually, I'm going to hand this over to Councilor Cox.
Thank you. Because it didn't come out of a committee and I had been working with Max and the Board of Health and Concom on it, I asked if I could read the motion. So I'm gonna go ahead and read the motion and then maybe make some adjustments. So my motion, in order to comply with the requirements to opt out of the spraying activities conducted by the State Reclamation and Mosquito Control Board pursuant with Mass General Law, Chapter 22, Section 2A, I move that on May 11th, 2021 at 6 p.m., the City Council held a public hearing on whether the city of Gloucester should opt out of spraying activities conducted by the State Reclamation and Mosquito Control Board pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 252, Section 2A. That the city council referred this matter to the Board of Health and the Conservation Commission for their recommendation on whether the city of Gloucester should opt out on spraying activities conducted by the State Reclamation and Mosquito Control Board pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 252, Section 2A. That the city council allowed public comment, that the city council accepts the Board of Health's alternative mosquito management plan, that the city council accepts the Board of Health and Conservation Commission recommendations for the city to opt out of all mosquito control spraying conducted by the State Reclamation and Mosquito Control Board, that the city council direct the Board of Health to submit the application for an alternative management plan required for a municipality to opt out of spraying conducted by the State Reclamation and Mosquito Control Board by the deadline of Friday, May 28th. And I so move.
Second.
All right, motion's been made by Councilor Cox, seconded by Councilor, was it Councilor Pat? Okay, Councilor Cox?
If I may, Mr. Chairman, just real quick, the
Go ahead.
last, I apologize, the last item asks that the vote to opt out will only be honored if an alternative mosquito management plan is recognized, that the vote to opt out will only be honored if an alternative mosquito management plan is submitted and approved by the EEA. That has to be part of the vote, I'm afraid. It's just that there's a recognition by the council that is the case.
All right, so hold on one second. We do have a motion and we do have a second. Joanne, hold on, Melissa. Can we insert Max's language in this and one of us move it?
Well,
As
it
an
was
amendment,
already moved.
as an amendment, we're gonna amend it.
Yeah,
So if one
you
of us
can
makes-
amend it.
All
Yes.
right, so if one of us wants to amend it and add Max's language to it, we'll take a vote on that part of it.
I was
All right,
going to move that.
all
I
right.
was reading it as it was written, but noticing that we had left out that piece. So I move what Max said.
Yes.
Second.
All right. Motion's been made to amend by Councilor Cox, seconded by Barry Pett. I was gonna call you Perry Bet. Councilor Pett, to add Max's language to it. All right, so any other discussion on the amendment? All right, seeing none, so we're gonna have to vote on the amendment. Councilor Holmgren,
Yes.
Councilor LeBlanc, yes. Councilor McCarthy,
Yes.
Councilor Nolan,
Yes.
Councilor O'Hara. Nope, we can't hear you, Jamie.
Yes.
There we go. Thank you. Councilor Pat,
Yes.
Councilor Cox,
Yes.
Councilor Gilman.
Yes.
All right, motion to amend passes on a roll call vote of 8 in favor, 1 absent. All right, any other councilor discussion? Councilor Cox? Amendments? All right, anybody else? Any other discussion? All right, seeing none. All right, we have a motion. It's been amended and it's been seconded, so I will call for the roll call. Councilor Holmgren,
Yes.
Councilor LeBlanc, yes. Councilor McCarthy,
Yes.
Councilor Nolan,
Yes.
Councilor O'Hara. I can't tell if Jamie's froze or, Jamie, can you hear me? He is frozen.
I can hear you, yes.
There we go. Thank you. Councilor Pat,
Thanks to Max for all the work on research and helping out and educating on this. Yes.
thanks, Barry. Councilor Cox,
I would also like to thank the Board of Health, particularly Max, Concom, Adrian Lennon, and the City Clerk's Office, Joanne, for all the work that the three departments did with me in regards to getting this moving so quickly and getting it on the agenda and trying to meet the unrealistic deadline of the state from the May 15th deadline. So, yes.
Thank you, Melissa. And Councilor Gilman.
Yes, thank you.
All right, motion passes on a roll call vote of 8 in favor, 1 absent. All right, Max, thanks again. Councilor Cox?
I'd like to offer a reconsideration just so we can get the certificate of vote to them as soon as possible.
Second.
All right, motion's been made by Councilor Cox, seconded by Councilor Pat for reconsideration. All right, everybody remember the rules on a reconsideration? All right, Councilor Holmgren,
No.
Councilor LeBlanc. Every time I do this, I want to do the Bob Weinop, but I'm not going to do it. No,
Too late.
I know. He always said yes. I don't want to, so I don't see. Councilor McCarthy,
No.
Councilor Nolan,
No.
Councilor O'Hara,
No.
Councilor Pat,
No.
and Councilor Gilman.
No,
All right, oh, I'm sorry, Councilor Cox.
No.
All right, motion passes to not to reconsider, passes on a roll call vote. 8 in favor, 1 absent. So Bob, little backstory, Melissa remembers Bob. Every time a reconsideration, he would always vote against it, and no matter what it was. So, all right, great job. Thanks, Max. I appreciate it, and I'm sure you.
Thank you,
remember Bob.
counselors. Thank you all.
All right, so Madam Clerk, can we have the next order of business, please?
The next order of business is other business for discussion only. The city council discussion regarding resuming in-person meetings.
All right, so I don't know if we want to continue this to the next meeting because we are going to have our update on our COVID restrictions. So maybe we should continue this out for another week to see what a public health agent has to say. Councilor Cox?
The next step in the governor's guidance and release of restrictions isn't until May 29th. So it might be more prudent to take it up in June.
Okay. But I know we have to work with the administration on opening up one of the buildings that would be large enough to house, we can't have a public meeting without having enough people to be in there, or it'll be a open meeting violation. And I know we have to get some staff on there. So I know there's a lot of moving parts to this, but so why don't we continue this out? Joanne, can we continue this out to our first meeting in June?
Yes, June 8th.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay.
And we're in no rush to get back into session. We've been chugging right along doing this, but we do need to open up the discussion at some point on whether we're going to start doing this or not. So we'll put it on the back burner for a little bit. Like I said, there's no rush. All right. Anything else from councilors? Madam Clerk, we have the next order of business, please.
Council request to the mayor.
All right, we're going to start off with Councilor Pat.
All set, thank you.
All right, Councilor McCarthy.
Nothing for the mayor. Councilor Cox thanked everybody but herself. She did a lot of work on the mosquito control. I think she should be acknowledged also.
Yes, sir, she did.
Thank you.
Thank you, Melissa. All right, Councilor O'Hara.
I'm all set. Thank you.
Thank you, Jamie. Councilor Nolan.
I want to thank generous gardeners, the administration, the DPW. All our gardens are looking fantastic.
Yeah. All right, thank you, Sean. Councilor Holmgren.
Thank you. I want to thank Max and Councillor Cox, and I also want to thank Adrian Lennon, certainly, and the Conservation Commission. I also definitely want to extend my thanks to Mike Hale and to Nicole Keyser and to Krista Carranza for all of their work as well on the opt-out program. And I also do want to acknowledge, as I do every year, last week was not only Teacher Appreciation Week and Nurses Appreciation Week, but it was Municipal Clerk Appreciation Week. So thank you, Joanne, and the entire city clerk's office, and all the clerks in our fair city. We could not do anything without you. So thank you.
Thank you, Jen. All right, Councilor Cox.
No request to the mayor, but I do have a statement that I'd like to say.
Go ahead.
On March 1st, I made an inappropriate remark to Councilor Holgram, and 11 seconds after that remark, waiting for everyone to stop talking, I apologized. Unfortunately, people were still talking, and apparently Councilor Holgram did not hear my apology. So I would like to take this opportunity to apologize again for my poor choice of words, and I am sorry.
Thank you, Melissa. We appreciate that.
Thank you, Councillor Cox. I appreciate your apology.
Thank you. All right, Councilor Gilman.
So I wanted to echo what Council Holcomb said in terms of thank you for everybody, and also a kudo to my constituent Patty Page, who also helped the Board of Health go through this and did it in a very diplomatic and helpful way. So team, good work. I wanted to just commend the administration and community development, the mayor's office, for the foresight to have had our council approve the zoning flexibility downtown during this pandemic, because as I drove down Main Street yesterday and saw even now Tono's has come up with some outdoor dining in front, it was just reassuring to see that all of our businesses had a jump start on making sure that all these provisions are there as they open up their businesses this spring, all the way to the end of the year. And it was just a really good feeling to know that we all work together to plan this and to help our businesses in every way possible. So I just wanted to make that comment. So thank you. Good job.
Thank you, Val. I don't have any requests to the mayor. Thanks, Joanne, for everything that you do for our clerks and also the clerk's office. And shout out to Mike Hale, our DPW director. I know we've been in the trenches for a long time with the roads. And we've all heard how bad some of them are being dug up, but we are seeing some of them being repaved again, which is nice. So hopefully we can get this ahead of the curve before our summer months and do what we have to do. And also we had our Mr. Rowland at the beginning of the oral communication. So one of us may, or one of our at-large councilors may want to reach out to the DPW and see what's going on over there on Marina Drive to help them out, because I know that's the part of the beach area. So, but shout out to everyone tonight. Great meeting, everyone. We got through it. Was Max, same thing. Thank you. I know the mosquito thing is a big to do for some of us. Little fun fact for you, just so everybody knows: cedar oil repels mosquitoes, ticks, and fleas. It's an all-natural substance, and what you can do is mix it with some water. What I do is I put mine in like a little spritz bottle, and I shake it up. I can spray it over my clothes. Doesn't leave any stains. It smells remarkable. I put it in a garden sprayer, and I spray it all over my lawn and over my trees and my shrubs, and keeps the ticks and fleas and mosquitoes away.
Additionally, if you have like a patio or your yard or whatever, eelgrass, simple thing, easy to maintain, and eelgrass does a tremendous job at repelling mosquitoes.
There you go.
So if you put them in a perimeter around a deck or something like that, that's all you need to do.
We have our own opt-out. Sean, did you have something to say?
Yeah, and the best cedar oil available is made right at Neptune's Harvest locally. It's unbelievable. You can get it at most of the hardware stores and garden center. And it works well for your dogs and for yourself.
There you go. So go get yourself some cedar oil, everybody. All right, with nothing else being said, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All right, Joanne, you can take a stab at whoever you want to put down in the minutes for that one. All right, Councilor Holmgren.
Yes, thank you, everybody.
Councilor LeBlanc, yes. Councilor McCarthy.
Yes, good night.
Councilor Nolan.
Yes, good night, everybody.
Councilor O'Hara.
Yes.
Councilor Pat.
Yes, thank you to our city clerk and the staff. Yes.
Thank you. Counselor Cox,
Yes.
and good job tonight, Melissa. That was a lot of heavy lifting for you. And Counselor Gilman.
Yes.
My
thank
pleasure.
you.
All right, motion passes. Motion passes to adjourn. Roll call vote of 8 in favor, 1 absent. Good night, everyone.